Okay, hello again. Management and operation, as we've discussed, targets human behavior change and is a tool for, is used as a learning tool. So repetition is important. And we repeat again a policy here for water management policy. Again, a documented policy is required with a mission statement, with KPIs, and a champion or an officer responsible for applying the policy. Measurable saving targets and the frame to be achieved, and a management plan to achieve those targets, dates, visibility of what the facility is trying to achieve. The calculator is easy, similar to the others, so it's a simple yes and no answer to get the score. The importance is the evidence that needs to be attached to each and every criteria. The next criteria is, again, awareness, and to stress the management policy to communicate the targets to the occupants, provide training, banners and documentation and material of awareness, and capture reward and successes in implementing such water savings. A budget allocated for awareness, and the facility is soliciting occupants' feedback regarding water conservation. Again, a learning tool, awareness, and changing human behavior. We come to 5.3 is water consumption tracking. We've talked about the meters installed. We want the meter readings collected. We want to make use of the collected data. We want to compare the actual consumption to the design. So we look at, first there's a, let me mention that first there's a prerequisite that the applicant will commit to provide water consumption information to LGBC for the coming years. And this is a prerequisite for this criteria for now. We ask if the applicant has used a water auditor to advise him on the water consumption at the facility. If this is not adopted by the facility, maybe a third party has provided a model for the facility for water consumption. And a third possibility is the facility has adopted a benchmark that is industry known, and there is a benchmark of water saving or water consumption for that specific facility for those operating conditions. If one of these is satisfied, then there should be a target behind one of these studies, and the target will be inputted in a certain cell to be compared with the actual consumption. Then we ask the facility if they are tracking the consumption on a monthly basis. If the answer is yes, they need to fill a certain screen of the water consumption by indicating the year, because we're asking for 3 years of consumption if it is applicable for that facility. Year 3 is the most recent year in the application. They will input the start date and the end date. For example, for a meter reading, the start date would be the date of the current reading, and the end date would be the reading of the next cycle. The quantity, the type of use, the source, is the type of use of that meter. Is it drinking, water, general use, or irrigation use, and the source. And they can select a membership from the water municipality, a metered supply, several sources, bottled water, delivery by tanker, metered on-site well or a metered on-site drinking water filtration system. Having filled this, we will get a total per year, and we will use the most recent year to compare with the target that was the result of a study, a water audit, or a benchmark that the facility has selected to use. And based on this, the score is calculated at 50% if the target is achieved, 0 if it is not achieved, and then it is linear between getting the, it is 50% if achieved, and then if you do a 20% saving, then you will get the 100%. So the target is 160. Let's say we do 120. So it's 3%. If we do the 100, so it's 100%. Sorry, we don't look at the final score. We need the score of that criteria. So it's 100%. Yeah.
When you have deleted some columns, so it has affected your formula. So we are using the rule version. So maybe when you have deleted, you have deleted something.
But the idea is that the facility has selected a target based on a water audit, a benchmark, or a modeling tool, and then we are comparing the actual consumption to that model. So this is the energy, the water consumption tracking.
Sorry, one question.
Yeah.
You mentioned a prerequisite that the end user should commit to providing data, consumption data for the next few years.
Yes.
You mentioned the prerequisite. One, two, and how are you going to reinforce that?
Why it is for our own data collection to build a database and to use it as a benchmark later on. How we are going to enforce it, I'll leave Riyad to see what he wants to do.
Still it is final. It is not final. We did not decide yet how long is the validity of the rating. Let us say, for example, it will be for 3 years. So what we are going to do is on the first issuance of the rating certificate, we are going to say that it is valid for 14 months, for example. So we give the client 1 month or 2 months maximum to report. If the client reports, we are going to issue free of charge the next certificate that will be valid for the next year. So this on the total cycle of 3 years that he has already paid for.
Okay.
Is it good?
Yeah, thank you.
So this is water consumption tracking. 5.4 is water leak management. And water leak management is really part of maintenance, but we wanted to emphasize this as a separate criteria to put the weight on that item, and it's not a line among a long checklist with the maintenance team that he will just tick a Mafi leak. So he has to look deep and identify any possible leaks that go undetected. I give you an example. A valve gland leaking in a chilled water pipe system will not be detected because the fiberglass insulation will soak the water. And this will go on for years until the pipe is deteriorated, and then we go into a costly replacement of the AC system network. So simply a grade will be given if this item is given the proper attention. The system is commissioned, of course, during the construction phase and tested for tightness, and an inspection program is established, and for an existing building, the program is implemented and documented. Again, the answer is yes and no, and the validation is in the attachments. تبع هذيك المرة لو نشوف هلا بالمينتنس هون شو عنا حدا. So maintenance in medicine there are some diseases that we call the silent killers, and lack of maintenance is the silent killer for the systems. In one system, water quality was ignored for some years. There were circumstances, يعني ما بدنا there were circumstances, but water quality was ignored. Can you imagine hard water? What can it do to a pipe network? This facility has invested in copper piping for hot water, which is the very costly network to last for years and generations. Water quality was ignored, and the result was a replacement of the whole network. And I have a sample of this in my office. This is a sample in my office. Can you imagine a half-inch pipe becoming less than 1 inch, a half inch? تحرجنا.
Of course. Somewhere on the planet Earth.
The whole network had to be replaced. So
chemicals that can be used to flush this.
هاي سنة years يعني بدك ترجع years of taking it out.
The big piping fee type of inserts بحطوهم هي بتطبق النتورك.
بس لما بيكون بعده يعني مايكرون of a layer. Film. So imagine. ما عندنا باوربوينت كان نعملها بس نعمل اكسل ما قوية. So we look at water systems operation and maintenance. We've listed the possible water systems that could be in a facility. And the first thing is to select which systems have been installed at the facility by answering a yes or no. And automatically the remaining questions will not be asked for that system. Then we have summarized, in our opinion, preventive maintenance under 3 main topics. And whatever we look at maintenance manuals and they ask us to tighten a bolt and then go to that gland and check for leaks. The big titles are inspection, cleaning, greasing, tightening, and function testing. These are the big titles of preventive maintenance. Then we go into the details and how they apply to the different systems. So for each, we have allocated a target frequency, and we've asked the applicant to indicate the frequency that they are applying. This frequency will be compared to the target, and if it meets or exceeds by being a lower frequency, they get the score. But they have to score a 1 on the 3 types of preventive maintenance. So they have covered the preventive maintenance on inspections, on cleaning, greasing, or tightening, and on function testing. Above that, The system should be included in an operation and maintenance manual, properly documented as per the requirements in the guideline, with the policies, procedures, spare parts on hand, recommended spare part list. So if these three are met, then the score is achieved for that system. And we've divided it so maybe a system is ignored, so we're not penalizing an effort because one system is ignored. One last item in maintenance management is using a maintenance software, computer-aided facility management software. If this preventive maintenance and the maintenance is managed through a software where data is stored, can be analyzed, used for continual improvement, the weight for this system will be multiplied by 2. Of course, the limitation is 100%. They cannot store more than 100%. But if this is managed through a computer-aided management software, then they score double on that system. And hence, they need to answer all this and provide the supporting documentation for that. We can go through an example, but the calculator is easy to use. The concept behind it is to provide the supporting documents for it. So these are the targets, and the targets will be shared in the guidelines so that it's transparent. Frequencies can be weekly, twice monthly, monthly by monthly, the routine frequencies that we can see in any maintenance regime. Questions? That's all for management and operation.
Thank you.
عندي سامبل.
I have a question for you.
And a question.
Yes.
If the project is composed from different, from 2 or 3 buildings, how the rating system is achieve that?
It's a general question.
It's for
Overarching question.
not for the
Buildings are separated by, there's the sector and there's the,
Mas
No, I
madam,
mean, if you have a project and it's composed from like 3 buildings, not one building. And the buildings are not interconnected.
By building,
they're not on the same plot?
3 projects.
On the same plot.
And on the same plot.
3 projects by building.
Okay, so
Okay, now I went through this. Now I have assessed مثلا OEA in Jnah. There were 2 buildings and we have treated them as one to lower the cost. It was a very big mess. It took me some 8 months to collect the data and consolidate the data. It was very complicated. But if you have approached them since the beginning as 2 separate buildings, it would have been easier. So based on our experience, our previous experience, they will be treated as separate projects. So each one has projects, and they are delimited in all cases. So the common areas, if there are, and there will be common areas, they are already delimited by the architect. And if the architect has missed, for some reason, the limitation, we will ask the owner to ask the architect, and please delimit the common area. This common area A is for building A, for building B, for building C. So this is how it will be.
And they were managed by the same entity, and it was difficult to they were managed under the same by the same entity.
Yeah.
What was the
and
deal?
it was the
Yes.
management and operation. Management and operation.
Yes. Yes.
Engineering.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I have that the much of documentation. It was a hassle. So based on experience.